Hi everybody, welcome to season 3 of the Early Days podcast.
Season 3.
This time we can see each other as well.
Yeah, we're gonna do this season with a video format.
Yeah, slightly different format, but we just recorded our first episode and our guest on this show is...
Foti Panagio?
Panagio, probably.
Panagio.
From Greece, Athens. Fun fact, this is last season, season 2, we opened with the first episode with a guest from Athens, Konstantinos, from Champions...
Sinodinos.
Champions ID.
Shout
Shout out to him and go and check out his episode. But Foti is the founder of Growthmentor.io. You can tell a little bit more about what Growthmentor is.
It's basically a platform where people can search for mentors and easily connect with them. I guess that's
Right. It's all digital platform. And he just started out 6 or 7 months ago, and they're about to go to the US to present and to network with a little bit more people. And we covered a lot of topics about a lot of things about how he started, how he gradually is transitioning into working more and more on Growthmentor, how he's thinking about growth and performance marketing. He shares a lot of useful resources. So if you're at a stage where you want to expand your business, your audience awareness, this will be a very useful episode, and we're gonna make sure that all the links and resources he mentioned are in the notes.
Yeah, useful episode for anyone bootstrapping. So it was quite a good overview of how you got about from the idea phase to funding, little funding it as much as you can, and then growing it from there.
Yeah.
And I guess
hopefully a lot of useful advice for all of you who are starting a business or are already building your own business, but maybe you're missing some tools or some tricks or tips, or you just want the inspiration or motivation. That's what the Early Days podcast is for. And it's all about the ups and downs of building a business, the challenges, the successes, some advice hopefully. And we do that every week. And see you in the next one. We hope you enjoy this episode. And Julian drinks a lot during this episode.
I drink a lot of gin during each episode, so yeah, that's gonna be a thing, common theme. There you go.
Enjoy the episode.
Cool, folks. Welcome to the podcast. It's the first actual episode of the new season and the new Happy New Year, by the way. Have a very nice one.
Season 3.
Season 3, actually, yeah.
Nice.
And can you give us a quick intro about yourself and what you're currently working on?
Sure, yeah. So my background's in marketing. I was working, I'm still doing that job, 12 years as head of growth at EuroVPS.com. It's a managed hosting provider. So I've been doing marketing for the last 10, 12 years, full stack. So I'm involved with everything from like product management as well, to copywriting, to PPC, self-taught. I studied finance, like nothing to do with marketing whatsoever. But I just had the opportunity, and I figured, let's learn this stuff. It's fun for me because it's data driven. So what I'm working on now, it's my first solo startup. It's called Growthmentor.io, and it's basically a two-sided platform where you can get in contact with other startup founders and marketers and just connect with them and chat and bounce ideas off and get help with whatever you're going through. And that idea was sparked from my own personal desire to connect with people and have chats about what I was working on at EuroVPS. And it was pretty difficult for me to chat with high-level people because I was living in Athens, Greece. And so what I would do is I'd post job postings on Upwork and say, hey, I'm looking for 30 minutes call with somebody that's an expert at AdWords or Facebook or whatever it was I was working on at that time. And that worked out really well for me because I would do a screen share and I would show what I was working on, my campaigns, and they'd point out, maybe watch that, or I suggest this. And it was like the ultimate learning curve hack for myself. Because up until that point, I was sort of one of those people who read way too much content, like an overconsumer, and I was mindful of that. I was like, this is not who I want to be. I want to be doing things. So how can I kind of stop that and learn in a more active kind of manner? So I forced myself to actually try doing whatever it was I wanted to do for the first couple of days until I got to that point where I hit a brick wall and I reached an impasse. And that's when I would consult with people online and kind of pick their brains. And that really worked for me. And I was like, well, if it works for me, because I'm a typical guy, I'm nothing special. So it's probably going to work for other people as well. And that's why I decided to make Growthmentor.
Right. And prior to starting, did you have any other experience in startup world? What was your touch point with that, or did you just start immediately? That's your first startup experience?
Well, as I said, I was head of growth at EuroVPS, and I interacted with a lot of startups because most of our clients are small businesses that need hosting, right? So I do a lot of support. That's one of the things that I hear a lot as a big trend, like in marketing, like it's really good to be hands-on and do support for a long time so you can really understand the users and what they're going through. So that was part, I guess you can say, some experience just dealing with people and talking to them and their pain points yeah, beyond that, no, I never really did anything entrepreneurial beyond that.
Right.
Yeah.
When you started with Growthmentor, I'm really curious, what were your very first steps? Because if we look at our story, we can trace back the first few steps because we documented all of that to like really basic discussions between ourselves.
Yeah.
Formal research on the internet. Can you take us through your very first steps at the moment the idea is born to until you actually start working on it?
Sure. So the idea, I'm not going to bore you guys with like, oh, how it came and all. I'm just going to get like straight into the nitty gritty. Like, all right, so the idea phase, the excitement passed, and then there's this point where it's like, am I actually gonna do something with this idea and move forward? And for me, it was 6 months when I had that idea to the point when I actually did something about it. Like the first 2-3 days when I had the idea, it's like, oh my God, this is amazing. But then like you realize you have so much work to do at your day job, and you start to feel like a bit, how do you call it, like intimidated by the scope of the project, and you're like, I can't do this. You know, it's the imposter syndrome hits again. And then at 1.6 months later, I was on vacation, and I was talking with Jessica, my wife, about doing something for EuroVPS with the back end and some product developments to it. And we were going to use this agency, which ended up being the developer of Growthmentor, for that. And yeah, like we were getting into, I was getting into like the product management mindset, and it just clicked, like, why don't I resurrect this Growthmentor idea? And so I spoke to Jessica, and like, you know, can you contact Maciek and get him on the line? Let me just understand like how much this would cost, like for a very basic MVP. And yeah, so I spoke to him, and you know, we had a good chat, and he's like, to really understand you, I should actually fly over there down to Greece. So funny story, the founder of Ragnarsson, the agency that developed Growthmentor, actually flew down to Greece to see me, to interview me as a client, to see if I was serious. Like,
nice.
Which is, I really respected that. And so we had a chat, and it was good and everything, like the idea, he really liked it, but I realized I needed to validate it first before just jumping into this expensive Ruby on Rails development process. So what I decided to do is just really quickly put up a landing page, which I made using one of those like HTML editors. Build it yourself. It took like, I don't know, 2 hours of screwing around because I'm not really a good coder. Like I can do basic CSS stuff, but nothing magical. So I made a really basic landing page. I put a embedded drip form on it to collect emails, and I put $500 in AdWords, and I bid on the keywords business mentors, at a global audience set, right? And I got 18% conversion rate on that, and I got 75 leads from $500. Like, it was really good, like a $5 CP cost per acquisition. And I was like, holy shit, like this is, you know, people are signing up to this. And they signed up, and they went through my sort of little funnel over there where I asked them questions, you know, what's your pain points and so on. And I found that like I hit a nerve with Growthmentor and the branding and sort of the messaging, and people really needed help with the same things that I was struggling with in growth marketing. Because biggest problem that people had that I realized was that there's just too much choice, like too many good ideas, because your attention is being pulled from all different directions, right? Like the SEO people are going to be saying invest in content marketing, you know, then the email list builders are going to be like, no, you know, it's the opt-ins, the PPC are going to be like, hey, it's all of it, and you have to make your funnel. It's crazy. There's so much, and if you don't have a lot of experience hands-on, it can be really intimidating. So that was sort of the first sort of feedback I was getting from the MVP launch, and that really kind of gave me that validation. Like, all right, this is worth it. Let me invest and actually build this thing out properly.
So it's a really smart approach to did that. Because some people get doing anything, to them directly. And I think that step in between the two is really smart, just kind of testing out the market in a very economic way, but it gives you a good data point of whether it makes sense to invest more time and money.
Yeah, and it's not that hard, really. Like, anybody can do it. You don't have to use it. You can use Insta pages or lead pages if you don't really want to even touch code. I mean, it's very simple. Just a little bit of money in AdWords, and you got it. And AdWords is great for testing stuff like this because you can get the real buyer intent. A lot of people spend a lot of time like testing in communities and reaching out. And it's like, dude, no, just bid on the keywords and see like if people are converting. Like, doesn't work for everything, right? Like, there's some things that are super competitive. Like, I imagine in your space that wouldn't really work because you're competing against major retailers, for shared like e-commerce related keywords. But for something niche, I think it's okay.
Yeah, I think you also be surprised because you kind of come from a technical background, marketing related. I think there's a lot of lack of knowledge about the availability of cheap tools that we have. And I think that's also, I've been seeing that, having chats on the platform, there's a lot of actually simple tools that can solve a very complex problem, but people are not aware of it. And I think you and us as well, coming from a bit of a technical background, we kind of have that advantage of knowing about those tools. But I think the collective as a whole, I think, can benefit a lot from actually just putting them to a simple tool that can solve their problem.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, have you seen the latest 2018 MarkTech landscape map? No. Have you ever seen that illustration where it shows how many marketing technology tools there are?
I can imagine it's like a huge cloud of icons.
Yeah, it's insane.
It was a pretty big resolution as well to fit all the logos, probably.
So yeah, that's kind of a big challenge now because there's so many tools and knowing which ones to choose. It's like that can take up a lot of time as well, just the whole research phase. And that was also one of the problems that I wanted to solve with Growthmentor. That's why on the filtering, you can actually filter by tools people have experience with. So let's say you're considering using app queues or some other like user onboarding tool, filter and see who's got that experience and like hands-on using those tools and just get like first-hand like, so what was it like for you using that? And it's just another sideways use case of talking to people in the space.
And learning from experience, I think that's the most valuable thing because you can be very specific about your needs, and sometimes it's very hard, even with a simple Google search, to find out exactly what you need because there's so many options. But I want to touch back on something that you mentioned from the start. That I think you mentioned that you had a full-time job while starting Growthmentor, while at least pondering still the idea.
Yeah.
For how long did you keep the day job before you dedicated full-time? Actually, are you dedicated full-time to Growthmentor?
It's still not 100% full-time. No, it's like probably 70-30 or 80-20 split. Mm-hmm. But yeah, in the beginning it was actually a lot easier than it is now, because in the beginning, like I basically made the brief. I worked with my product designer. We sent over all of the deliverables to our agency, and it was just the waiting time, right? Like that's to have patience. But like in September we like proper launched, and then you have that stress of getting people in the door, and that takes time, and it takes a lot more time than I thought it would.
Yeah, tell me about it. That's something that we've been experiencing as well in our short 2-year history, or okay, let's say more than 1 year in actually open for business. I'm curious. You started this with your wife, right?
Yeah.
Right, and you're both dedicating time from your day working.
Yeah, she still does English lessons. She teaches on Skype, but yeah, she's basically doing a whole second job now.
Right.
Insane.
And how are you guys balancing this out, working with each other? Because you're co-founders, but also a family. as well. I think that's a very interesting dynamic. It puts things in a much different perspective than two very formal business partners. Can you talk a little bit about that relation?
Yeah, honestly, it's like it's brought us even closer together because we have this shared sort of goal that we're both striving towards. It's been good. Like I haven't really had anything bad to say about it. The only thing that I've noticed is that during the weekends, like when we're supposed to relax and stuff, we're still talking about business and we're not unplugging really, you know. And some people say you have to unplug and have the separation and all that, but I'm not really sure on the have tos. You know, like if it feels right and like this is what's really important for you guys, if like you have a business with a significant other and that's, you know, what you talk about, and don't feel guilty about it. I mean, that's a phase that you're going through, and that's why you're always talking about it, so that it can pass at some point and it won't be what you're talking about. You know, putting in that hustle now, so you don't have to, you know, be like older and you know still. So that's generally like it's a lot of talking back and forth, but it's good to have that person right in your house that you can like banter with about what you're dealing with.
Yeah, we kind of have the same experience because we do a lot of the stuff that we need to do on the weekend, even though we also have full-time day jobs. And I find that if you're enjoying the process, it's not tiring you on the weekend. It's kind of recharging. So I don't see it as kind of a negative, you know, energy.
Yeah.
Actually, it recharges me. So I don't see if you like what you're doing, then obviously it makes more of
that's
that.
the thing. Like, if you like it, like I love what I'm doing. I love my job, and Jessica's really liking it as well now. She's got into it, and it's like there's nothing wrong with it. Like, what would it be better if we didn't talk about work and just sat and watched TV? You know, like compare it. It's just I'd rather be doing something productive with my time.
Yeah. How do you guys split responsibilities? Do you have certain roles that have formed naturally, or everybody does whatever is urgent and necessary at the moment?
Yeah, it kind of formed naturally because Jessica's been historically amazing at social media. She grew her Twitter following to like 40,000 for her English lesson thing, just like that. Like she didn't even try to, it just happened. She manages like 5 different Facebook pages with thousands of like. She's good with that stuff. So she's doing social media because I don't really like to mess around with that. Like even my own, I don't really do Facebook and stuff. The only reason I have LinkedIn is because apparently it's good for business. But yeah, so she's managing that and she's doing operations like you know, having chats with people after calls to see if everyone was satisfied, following up with like bug requests and for on my side, I'm doing more of the like the marketing, I guess. The marketing, the product management is all on me. So any technical marketing that's all on me as well. Whereas Jessica is sort of like the PR, and I'll always call her up though and be like, you know, what do you think about how I'm writing this? Or she's actually passed me on many things that I thought I was good at, which is good.
I see you guys are doing a lot of right stuff. Like on LinkedIn, you have some good results, and you just launched a few months ago, right?
Yeah, in September.
So what's the current stage of kind of the company, the business, the process? What are you currently working on? What's the current focus of now?
So right now, I'm kind of focused on making sure that the bedrock of the site is the foundations are proper in terms of like my content marketing game, because since I'm bootstrapped and I'm not really intending to go fundraising, it's something that I feel like SEO in the long game is super important, right? So I'm spending a lot of time making sure that my information, my information architecture on the site is properly laid out, and keyword research, trying to figure out sort of like what approach I'm going to take with the blog, taking my time with that, because I don't want to rush and create crap content just for the sake of making content, because I just feel like that doesn't work anymore. There's just too much noise out there, especially in the marketing sphere. Everyone's saying the same thing. So I'm taking my time with that. I'm really focusing on building relationships with the existing mentors that we have. I'm I kind of toned it down a bit on recruitment on supply side, because we're focusing on just making sure that the relationships that we have are really nurtured, and that the existing mentors get calls, right? Because like right now, I think, I don't know the number exactly, but I think like half the mentors haven't had a single call. So like, I think it's a little bit rude to be bringing on 100 new mentors before they get a chance of what it's, so like I'm trying to increase the organic engagement on the platform with a lot of things that don't scale, just one-to-one, build, sending emails and stuff like that. And in terms of like PPC and things like that, I'm just starting now to dabble in paid ads, just with retargeting, just a couple dollars a day on Facebook and so on, just so that I can kind of see what my CPA is, because I'm curious what my cost per acquisition is from paid. And yeah, and then in 2 weeks we're going to San Francisco to Startup Grind to exhibit there. So that's like super exciting.
Yeah, it's super exciting. What's your goal for Startup Grind?
Awareness, just awareness, and also a lot of learning, like just figuring out what the pain points are for people and like what they want us to become. Like, because we don't want to build something that's not really that interesting for people. So I took a big gamble on a lot of the product features that we've currently got, because in the beginning I didn't do as much user testing as they say you're supposed to, because a lot of it just went with my gut, because I was time constricted, right? And it's like sometimes you just have to act, right, and make the wireframes and get everything going so that you can get it to a point where you can get the traction, and then from that point on you can get that feedback loop going. But you have to have something to begin with. So that now I'm at that point where like every little user test that I have, I'll sit down and I try my best to like document it in an organized way, like the user feedback, but sometimes it's a little bit difficult. Like if you talk to like 4 or 5 people a day and you have a 30-minute call, and then you're like, your piece of, what are you really gonna? It's the user testing thing. That's a challenge for me. It's super challenging. I'm just gonna say that right now.
Yeah, that's a very hard also, if it comes to the startups that we've worked at, user testing. You put the high priority if you're a mature startup, and then that's about it.
Sorry, I didn't catch that.
I mean, user testing I think it's hard also for like more mature startups or even scale-ups who've been doing it for a couple of years and they have the resources, because sometimes speed is just more important.
Yeah.
I believe as well myself that sometimes gut feeling is enough for you to go try it out and test it out in the market. And I mean, it will be pretty obvious soon if it's working or it's not working, and then you have to change and adjust. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I think that with user testing, like there's quantitative feedback that you're going to get via surveys, and then there's that qualitative angle, which is just the calls and the open-ended, and there's something called qualitative coding, which I did a lot with EuroVPS, where you would take that qualitative feedback and then you quantify it somehow, and you can use pivot tables to kind of find trends and so on. But if you're like in the situation I'm in now, where you have to do so many other things beyond just user testing, you have to use your gut a lot and just be able to really rapidly recognize patterns in what people are saying, and just go with that. Yeah, sure, you take notes and everything, but I think that there's a point of diminishing returns in organization, if that makes sense.
What's your current biggest challenge?
Biggest challenge right now is in terms of the platform, or just like.
Yeah, well, building a business, and it could be something organizational between how you manage your time and stuff like that. But just in general, a process around building the business is quite challenging.
The first thing that comes to mind.
The first thing that comes up, the biggest challenge is not really having that like a big team. Like I just really feel burned out. Like there's so many things that I would want to delegate to somebody, but I can't really delegate it to like a VA or something. It requires a higher level of skill set, which at this point in time I cannot afford. So I end up taking on way too much myself, and it's just slowing down the pace of development at this point right now. So I guess it's just Yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, I guess you can call it, it's the bootstrap sort of challenge. You don't have money.
Yeah. So instead of kind of scaling down on the, let's say, new functionalities, you're kind of taking more responsibility on, I guess, spreading it around the small team that you have.
Oh, I going back to what you said, now it's clear to me what the biggest challenge is. The biggest challenge is this, that at the moment, we're not really creating revenues. So it's a platform which depends on commission, right? To make money. That's how it's set up. The way we make money is 15% on calls. But at the moment, we've enabled the option for free calls, and I believe you, Julian, have done a couple calls for free.
Yep.
You've done a couple of calls. I've made no money from that. Neither have you. We're all kind of like donating this right now, and that's we're doing that to learn, right? You're investing this time, and I just really thank all the mentors for giving that time free, because that allows me to learn so much, because then I can talk to you guys and I can talk to the demand side and have those full cycles of learning. But it's the monetization is the biggest challenge. Like what am I really gonna do? I have a couple ideas, but I really want to go to San Francisco and go to Startup Grind and really get the opinions of other people smarter than me. So that's pretty much what the biggest challenge is now, monetization.
Do you have a time frame in mind where you want to start monetizing, or do you kind of have given yourself, let's say, a couple, I guess, years?
Yeah, I'm giving myself like, I guess, a month after Startup Grinds before I have to like really either put a gate or something like that, because it's just there's a limited time frame that the runway can survive without having to look around for funding, which again I'm not really that keen on.
Have you guys any KPIs based to track things? Because I guess those will be tracking as well eventually in the future.
Do we have APIs to track?
No, not APIs, KPIs, like key performance indicators.
KPI.
Yeah.
Yeah, very basic. How many users signed up today, and how many sessions were booked today? And organic search by week, social search by week, and that's it, because that's all that we can control right now. So I'm a really big believer in like activity driver KPIs. So like things that my input can create output for. Like for example, how many links did I build this week, right? Due to outreach or whatever, right? So like that's something that I would love to track, but I don't. Like, yeah, I bet you were gonna think, yeah, I track. No, I don't track any of that stuff. But it's one of the things that that definitely we will be doing moving forward. It's a little bit. That's one of the things I want to do. A little bit more quant focused in terms of like measuring my personal outputs instead of just being all over the place, right?
Yeah, yeah. And do you have any system that you use to implement that? What's your approach? Is it the spreadsheet? Is it the software for that?
Yeah, we use Trello. We used Trello for the first 2.5-3 months, kind of like a Scrum basis where we just put like icebox, doing, done, and ever since I think December I stopped doing it. I can't recall exactly when it happened, but I just lost interest in that system. It just became too much, like it just fizzled out. And then I just started, doing paper stuff, just writing. I have a piece of paper every day and I write what I want to focus on. Today I have a whiteboard in the living room, and that's where we have like the weekly sort of targets, like what just the high level things we're doing. And we're breaking it down into shorter, more like easily achievable goals, so that we can get those quick wins and kind of that boost our confidence. And that's kind of working well for us lately. Because what I noticed with the Trello, if you use Trello in a digital form of project management, like you end up collecting this massive list of icebox, and then after a while, it's like, whoa, how did that even? You forget like when you put things on it, and it's just too much.
Yeah, and the important things always come up again, so you're not gonna forget them. I think one of the things that we didn't do when we started, we don't use any systems or anything. We kind of freestyle, and it gives us gives us the flexibility of like if we get any insights on that day, act on it tomorrow. You know, instead of
Yeah, totally.
let's put it in the icebox because we have another 8 things that we should have done. But if we haven't done it for months, then I mean, they're obviously not that important, or we're gonna do it at some point in the future. But even like, because you guys are a small team, we're a small team, so I think it doesn't make sense to involve any additional unneeded tooling, you know, just for the sake of managing the process, which you don't really need.
Yeah. Yeah, no, when you're such a small team, like two people or even 3 people, I feel like I think at 3 people, then it's justifiable to get some like tools, like very basic, but like we're 2 people, like paper and pen and whiteboard's fine.
Yeah, I think a whiteboard is the most essential tool that you can have when you're bootstrapping.
Oh, I love it. Yeah.
People. It's the biggest life hack or productivity hack that we should
I
probably.
need to buy a second one though. One's not enough. I end up erasing things. It's like, oh, I don't want to erase you, so I take my phone out and I snap the picture, and I'm like, but then I never go back to the picture, so it's like.
Yeah, because we went back and forth with the whiteboard. In the beginning, we were really strict with it. Then at some point, we took it out. Then we came back to it, and now I think we stuck. There's an image of Jeff Bezos, and in the very beginning of Amazon, I think you've seen it.
Yeah.
So we stuck that on the whiteboard, you know, with the magnetic erase. So I think we're just keeping that there, and whatever needs to be done, we need to do it without a whiteboard. So I think it kind of translates as well.
Yeah.
But for Startup Grind, what's the format of the whole thing? Do you have what's the plan? Do you have a booth there? You're just going to network? Is it just give us?
It's basically it's a 2-day conference. It's on the 12th and the 13th, and there's 300 startups that are going to be exhibiting over there. It's a table, so it's like this. It's an outdoor, but it's like tent covered because it's a little bit cold, I think, at this time. And so half the startups exhibit on the 12th and half on the 13th. So we don't know exactly what day we're going to be in which batch. So yeah, you just have your little booth. You have a little monitor there, and people just come up and ask questions like, hey, so what are you doing? And it's all networking, right? Like it's just building relationships and talking to people, and like we're just going to be nonstop like asking questions about what their biggest pain points are, and trying to do as much like hands-on, like face-to-face user research, which is like a huge opportunity for us because it's different doing it on a Skype call. It's different being right in front, building that relationship. So yeah, it's just gonna be a lot of networking.
And have you, because it's something that we struggle with, is kind of explaining the business or the product in our case, in kind of a short, I guess, text.
Yeah.
Have you nailed down, let's say, the elevator pitch for the company?
I have not nailed it yet, no. But I have a folder with screenshots of like 50 different variations of it. I'm constantly like iterating, and it's getting tighter and tighter as time passes. Because right now, technically, we're still in beta. If you look at the homepage, the logo says beta. Like so I'm allowed to screw around with it, right? So yeah, like I'm constantly kind of iterating it. At the moment, I wouldn't be able to rehearse to you like verbatim what it is, but I think it's what's underneath the H1 on the homepage right now. If anyone wants to check and see what the latest version of our elevator page, it's usually there.
That's a good teaser for the folks who are listening or watching this. Go and get it out, and maybe you've changed it several times, but it's a process that we've been going through over and over and over again from almost.
Oh, you guys as well.
Yeah. I mean,
we change everything, man. We change the website, the product, the target group.
What's very interesting is that pretty much all the time we're saying the same thing, and we always come around it, but we're super close, but never exactly hitting the point. Also, we're not native speakers as well. We're not wordsmiths or copywriters, so
yeah,
it definitely makes a big difference when you're doing it yourself. When you talk to people and show them the product, they immediately get it. But if you ask me, I'll give you one definition. If you ask him, he's going to give you a different, slightly different definition. And we do that on the website as well and online when we're describing and explaining what we're doing. What on top of that, the brand or something more aspirational that we want to do with it, that confuses things even more. And it's a very interesting game, and it's basically a scrapbook. Our website has been a scrapbook of different ideas, and we as well have a lot of documents and files and folders on Google Drive to keep all these ideas. It's a very nice way actually to look back into, like, in a couple of years and see how we started. And it's interesting even now, if I come back like something we wrote 2 years ago, some of the ideas are super clear and super specific, and it's probably worth to try to examine them now, but with the proper audience that we have. But coming to the point of Google Docs and folders and whiteboards and all that, I want to ask you if you can share some resources and techniques that you found useful in starting your business and running it and growing it.
Resources and techniques. So resources, like websites, or
if you have websites,
blogs,
newsletters,
podcasts.
blogs, yeah.
yeah, Indie Hackers is definitely one of my favorites. I think that's where I found you guys from Indie Hackers.
Yeah.
Outreach, and yeah, I try to limit as much time consuming now, but I will say that for if you Zest.is is a pretty cool thing, but it's a browser extension where you can get the latest in like curated marketing content, but that's kind of a distraction nightmare if you're a clicker. My most like surprising win like tool for the last few months I'm starting to use is Loom. Do you guys use that?
No,
it's a browser, it's a Chrome extension where you click it and it records your screen, and then when you finish, it automatically copies it to a clipboard, and you can just send it to somebody on Skype or whatever. So it's perfect for like support, even like if someone's having an issue with your application, say, hey, this is how you fix it, send it, or even for sales pitches. Yeah, I use that a lot.
And that records audio and video as well.
Yeah, audio and video, so it leverages your webcam, and it's really useful. I use it every single day. Oh yeah, also, you know how I use that for VAs. So like, let's say I want to assign something to one of my VAs, I stopped writing like descriptions anymore. I'll just record my screen. I'm like, all right, do it like this, and then I click and I do it the first time. It takes a minute, send it over, and that's that. It's a huge time saver.
And VA is a virtual assistant, I assume?
Virtual assistant, yeah.
How did you get those?
Upwork.
Okay. And what kind of work do you delegate?
Generally, data entry and prospecting. So I'll point them somewhere. I'm like, get all those names and emails and contacts, and then like 2 days later, I have 300 email addresses, names, roles, everything.
We might try.
And you after that you follow up yourself, right? Not somebody else.
To the leads.
Yeah.
So I do it a couple of different ways. Now we're talking about outbound. So this is my way. Like if it's something that's super important, like let's say that I want to onboard a very impressive mentor to the platform. This is true story. So what I'll do is I'll literally just take the email and I'll custom email for each one, right? Like nice, long. Some of them don't reply, and I've noticed that some like influencers, they don't like long emails. They're like, yeah, he's writing to me, like, the plebes. But yeah, some people really, really enjoy, when someone puts effort into it. And I'm banking on those people that are gonna appreciate my passion, and they're gonna get it. And if that's when there's the culture fit, right? That's fantastic. But so yeah, that I'll do manual. But let's say that I want to do like a big outbound campaign for demand side, for example. Yeah, then I'll just put them in a sheet and CSV, and I'll upload to my favorite outbound email marketing tool, woodpecker.co, plug in them right there. Yeah, then just send out a template, personalized with placeholders and all that. But yeah, for the most part though, it's just personalized outreach.
Right. Wow, pretty useful as well.
I think there's a few things that we.
Yeah. Do you have some resources for growth marketing or performance marketing? I'm not even sure which term to use anymore. For people who want to try to digitally expand their audience and their reach or traffic to their website.
Yeah, so there's this agency called bellcurve.com. They're a growth marketing agency. It's founded by this guy called Julian Shapiro. I think that's his last name. Anyway, he's wrote this amazing guides on growth marketing. It's huge. It covers every aspect of growth marketing. And if you're new to the space, I'd totally recommend just reading those guides.
Perfect. We'll have to check it out.
Yeah, cool, man. To be respectful of your time, what's kind of the plan? I guess startup grind is the next biggest thing coming up on your guys' focus. But besides that, is there anything that you're kind of targeting and aiming for in the next, let's say, 5 to 6 months? What's the plan? What are the targets? Any ideas?
Yeah. So I at the moment can't think beyond 30 days. I just can't. I can't do it. So I know other people say that you have to have a plan and blah blah blah, but like I'm kind of winging it right now after like San Francisco. So I have right now on my head to finish this content marketing strategy. I'll make a lot of different landing pages. So that's going to take a month, let's say, to finish. So what I'm going to do is this. So Julian, you know the platform. On the left sidebar, the expertise filters.
Yeah.
All those like 20. So every single one of those now, I want to create a landing page, a specific page for it, which is going to go into use cases on how you can benefit from talking to a mentor in link building, a mentor in SEO, a mentor in all these other things. So I'm trying to get a little bit more I'm trying to create more verticals that I can go with Growthmentor and increase the specificity, because I'm realizing over time that the general message that I'm pushing, which is, so far at least, talk to a growth marketing mentor or like a marketing mentor or a startup mentor, it's too broad. A lot of people have their pains that they're dealing with right now. Like if you were to talk to me 3 years ago, I would have said, content marketing was my biggest pain point. If it was 4 years ago, marketing automation, how do I use drip and segments and mix panel and all that stuff. Like you go through phases. So like I want to create content that tailors around each one of those phases, so I can be more pain point specific and therefore get a higher like surface area of content and therefore like adoption. So that's what's coming the next month from my side.
Yeah, from my experience, from the few calls that I had, it's either that use case of people really having specific pain points, or the other one is I think people that you're going to lose once you introduce some pricing, just people kind of surveying, just having as many conversations about X. I mean, they're building something and they're not even like asking for advice, they're just surveying on the idea. What do you think about that? And then so I think there's people going through the whole roster of mentors just asking for feedback on that. And then I'm guessing those people you don't really need on the platform because that's not really the use case for it.
Yeah, but that's the main use case so far. Yeah, that's communicating, like talk to other people and bounce your ideas. But I feel like there's a lot of potential for like more specific, talk to somebody, to an expert, and figure out how to better leverage intercom, for example. Like I use intercom and at EuroVPS, and we pay, because we have like 2,000 users, we pay like $350, $380 a month for that tool. And I the only feature I use is the live chat, and then I have this one like rule set up that if you're on the pricing page for more than 10 seconds, something pops up and says, do you need any help? Like that's it. And there's so much more I can do with that tool, but I just honestly don't have time to set it up and to learn actually and to think of the strategy behind it. So like if I could have connected a year ago when I was setting it up with somebody who has set up intercom at another startup similar to mine, right? And said, so how would you like set this up? What triggers would you use? What do you do at your place? Tell me what you do. Like I could learn from that. So I want to make it more tool specific as well. The solutions that we can offer, because I think that, as we've talked about earlier, there's just so many tools out there in the marketing space. This is insane. Like how are you going to learn it all? Like people are used to jumping from one to the other as well.
Yeah, we found like building it, because in the beginning you start off with just consuming a lot of content about building business, and it's always quite generic, or if it's not generic, it's very tailored to that specific context, and it's not really something you can take away. So I think that the enormous value of what you guys are doing is actually someone taking the time understanding your context, and then based on that, taking his expertise and actually giving you something that you can act on. Yeah, exactly, in your context. Otherwise, the rest is it's too generic. It's all kind of like general stuff about building a business, but there's no value in that. I think we also stop consuming all of that content, and it's always either we're just trying and seeing stuff for ourselves, or it's either talking to someone about really something specific about what we're doing.
Yeah, I think the best way or the best thing you can be valuable is just try to guide people, point them in the right direction. But any specific advice is very hard to find.
Unless you know their context.
Yeah. But even everybody is different. Like people work in different ways. They have different worldviews. It's very.
So you mentioned about knowing the context. One of the most common feature requests we've been getting is the ability to like subscribe to mentors for a longer period of time, because they say, a lot of the users have said in the last week I spoke to, they're like, I spoke with so-and-so and he knows my situation now, and it would be annoying for me to have to like explain that all over again to somebody else. So they view it more like kind of like a psychologist, right? You go to a psychologist, you can't play musical chairs with one. You spilled your guts for 3 months. They know everything about your business, and they can form like patterns about it and give you like more tailored suggestions based on that. So what do you guys think about that? Like,
yeah, I think it's valuable. I mean, it's just saving, I guess, because you can always book someone, a few times, but I guess it's saving on that part from both sides, just kind of inviting and then accepting the invitation like every time. You just kind of put it in the calendar for both of them, and they know, every Thursday at whatever kind of meet up.
And I think people are serious, they're committed, and they're going to show up and continue doing it in time as well.
Yeah. One last question before we let you go. How do you go about selecting mentors? What are you looking for? What have been kind of good experiences and bad experiences going forward?
Awesome. I was waiting for that question, because it's at the crux of everything that we do. It's the people that define like the whole thing. So the answer is that it's been morphing, the process, since the very beginning. So in the very beginning, it would be they would apply, and I would scan I had a typed form they would fill in, and I would have them self-assess their expertise in PPC, copywriting, engineering, design UX, and like 2 other things off the top of my head I can't remember. And then I would ask them to select which tools they have expertise with, because that's a big part of the platform, having hands-on practical experience with tools too. And then like if they pass the initial screening, which is they have to have 5 years of experience either in the startup scene or growth marketing, then I would get on a call with them and I would interview them and see, do they have the right culture fit? Are they personable, friendly, and are they subscribed with the ethos of the brand, which is to above all help and not really doing it because you want like to make the extra money or something. Like there were mentors who were, the first question they asked, and they were really experienced, like, how much money can I make from this? Can I get more calls and on clarity out of them, or like stuff like that. And internally I would just like mark X, and then after the call, like send them a message and say, sorry, I just feel like we're not a good fit, because that's not the priority. That's not what I want. Like they have to have above all a culture fit. And that's why only like 10 to 15%, actually, like around closer to 10, even lower lately, 10% of applicants actually get in. So the last month, I think I've added like 4 mentors, and we've got like 150 applications come in. There's just no point for me to like fill up with mentors. I really think that a balance is important between supply and demand. I think with two-sided marketplaces, it's really easy to just fill up one side because it's easy, and you feel like this sort of like adrenaline rush. Oh, I'm getting 1,000 supply, side whatever, demand side. You have to balance it, because you one side needs the other, and if you don't have both sides, then you're not going to have that interaction and that engagement. And that engagement is what you use to learn. Like that's how you get the feedback and you iterate.
Yeah, pretty neat. Well, Foti, we want to be, as Julian said, in perspective of the time, but I want to ask you one more thing.
Yeah, sure. I have time, by the way. It's cool.
My question was the last one. Right?
Yeah, sorry, but actually, it's something more for you. Do you have a question for our audience, for the people who are watching or listening to this, something that can help you in building Growthmentor or in some other aspect of your life?
Feedback survey time.
Yeah, I mean the biggest question that we're all trying to ask our users right now is, what is your biggest pain point in growth? What is the number one pain point that you have right now? And I'm not like even going to suggest anything. I don't want to buy it. So just like, yeah, that's it. Just what's the number one thing that's the most challenging? That's pretty much it.
Perfect. I have another fun fact. No, one fun fact. Last year we opened the season with an episode in Greece, in Athens.
Did we?
Yeah.
Ah.
And this time we open season 3
There
with
you
an
go.
episode in
Greece.
Athens as well.
And what we don't like about you guys is that once we start keeping in touch, you start sending pictures of the beach and the sea and the beach bars, and then we're kind of stuck in rainy Amsterdam.
You have to visit during the summertime, so it's a Transavia flight. It's $100. I know that.
Yeah, we definitely need to visit, because otherwise you guys are pretty lucky.
I think summer might be too hot. I think it's already. I saw today our guest from last year. He started posting pictures from a beach bar, because apparently the weather was very good today.
He opened the season.
It was good, yeah.
Yeah.
It was snowing and you guys are on the beach, so thanks for that. But anyways, you guys are coming to Amsterdam as well, right? Is that in the?
We're gonna come in April. We're gonna have sort of like get-togethers. A couple of other growth mentors that we plan to meet up with in Amsterdam, so that should be fun.
Nice.
It's nice. We started organizing a meetup from this month.
Say that.
So let us know when you're here in April, and we can just schedule it then, so you can invite everybody, because we have an event location. Coffee.
April 11th, most probably, we'll be there.
Okay. Good to know.
Yeah, we can do a nice meeting, chat about stuff.
Yeah.
Awesome, guys.
Thanks, Foti. Good luck. Best of luck on Startup Grind. Wish you all a lot of nice relationships, a lot of awareness. Just get the most out of it. Yeah. My advice would be just talk to as many people as you can.
Talk to as many people as I can. Yeah, that's pretty much the way I'm viewing it. I'm not going with, a lot of startups are going there with expectations of raising funding and all that, and it's like it's so much more liberating if you don't have to worry about that. Just go there and just whatever happens. Just believe it.
There's a lot of negatives of bootstrapping your own thing, but I think the positives outweigh those negatives a lot. And freedom
so as well.
Decision making is one of them.
Unless like you're at this point where you're growing so fast that if you don't get that extra funding, you're going to go out of business because of just the weight of your own success. And that's happened that's a real risk. It's kind of counterintuitive, but it does. Yeah, in those cases, yeah, absolutely, it's worth it to get VC. But pre-product market fit, it's insane.
Yeah, good problem to have, though, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
It's easy to find.
Or you raise the prices and naturally filter out people.
There you go. Yeah.
That's Marie's approach. He's
Economics 101.
With all my years of experience doing all that, so take it with a grain of salt.
Cool, Foti. Thanks again for your time. Best of luck. Say hi to the whole team, and we'll see you guys, I guess, in a few months. And let us know how Startup Grind goes.
Will do. All right. Take care, guys.
Thanks so much.
Man. All the best.
Bye.